welcome everybody to the Retirement Success in Maine podcast. My name is Ben Smith, and I'm one of the co-hosts here on the show. Listeners, I hope you're doing well today. We are recording on Election Day, so
We are.
it's a very big day. So this is a good distraction for us. If you want to be a part of the show, you can always email us at bensmith@guidancepointrs.com or find us on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Just search Retirement Success in Maine podcasts. We can find some more content there. At this time, let me welcome in the cruise ship to my staycation, Curtis Wister. How you
All
doing today,
right.
Curtis?
All right. I'm doing well. I'm the cruise ship here. This is
You're
good.
the cruise
This is
ship. You're the
good.
one
I
moving
like
around. I'm the
it.
one staying home, just hanging out.
That's right.
So obviously, if you couldn't tell by that little analogy, we're talking a little bit of travel, right?
Yeah.
In the course in our show, we've touched on the theme of travel a few times,
Yep.
and of course, there's been a little evolution of travel since our last travel themed episode in episode 70.
Hmm.
So as retirees really look to make the most of their newfound freedom, especially post-COVID, travel becomes an essential way to explore the world and discover new experiences. But as travel trends evolve, how can retirees align their adventures with meaningful goals, whether it's staying active, bonding with family, or prioritizing longevity? So in this episode, we're going to explore the biggest travel trends set to define 2025 and 26 and how they can help retirees build more enriching, intentional travel experiences. From new ways to combine wellness and longevity with exploration to small group interest-based trips that open doors to deeper connections, these trends offer retirees exciting opportunities to travel in ways that align with their lifestyles and values. We're also going to dive into how retirees can maximize comfort and efficiency while traveling, from premium services that offer peace of mind to luxury experiences that make the journey itself just as exciting as the destination.
That's right.
Whether you're dreaming of a personalized luxury cruise, a journey by private train, or traveling with families to create lifelong memories, we'll cover how to approach these trends thoughtfully and avoid the overwhelm of modern travel logistics.
That's right, Ben. And if you haven't caught on by, I think this is what, episode 105 or so.
Mm-hmm.
We like to bring in guests to discuss these things because Ben, you and I are not experts in travel.
By no means.
So, so our guest today is a travel advisor with Milne Travel based in Bangor, Maine, whose passion for travel is matched by a dedication to helping clients turn their travel dreams into meaningful, lasting memories. Our guest brings a unique perspective to her role, backed by two bachelor's degrees from the University of Maine, a Bachelor of Arts with a double major in political science and history. Also, good timing on election day here for political science, and also a Bachelor of Science in registered nursing. So, her background in political science and history gives her a deep understanding of world cultures, helping her provide clients with context and insight that enriches their travel experiences, while her nursing degree brings an added layer of care and awareness, ensuring clients feel secure, well prepared, no matter their destination. Whether she's booking all-inclusive stays, creating customized itineraries for once-in-a-lifetime adventures, or organizing specialized trips to places like Antarctica, I might need to dive into that one for a minute, or major sporting events, she's committed to translating her clients' hard-earned dollars into memories and experiences that last a lifetime. So with that background, please join me in welcoming Jess Reinhardt to the Retirement Success in Maine podcast. Jess, thank you so much for coming on our show
Thank
today.
you. That was quite the intro. Thank you for having me.
So, Jess, we actually have services on the side where we just follow you around and just
Yep.
read your
Okay.
introduction to all the people that you
Yep.
meet in your life. So, if you want,
I
we want
love
to talk on the outside. You just let us
it.
know. Jess, thanks for coming on our show.
Yes, thank
Obviously, we
you.
have a lot to get to and to talk about. But of course, for our show, where our audience is meeting you for the
Mhm.
first time, we want to just get to know you a little bit and just hear a little
Sure.
bit about your background and how you got into the career of becoming a travel agent.
Wow. So I worked in the mental health field for 20 years, which if anybody else knows how difficult that field is, they understand. But on the side, I've always been a travel nerd. I literally am obsessed with traveling. And so, on my Saturday, Friday nights, weekends at home, I'd always research deals for my friends and my families, like how cheap can I get this for them? How amazing can I get this vacation for them? And then a couple years ago, a friend of mine here at Milne Travel, she had a spot open up in the office. And I said, I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take this risk. my kids are getting older. I want to follow my heart, as cheesy as that may sound. And I did. So, I took a risk in doing that. I left a very steady career in mental health at a local case management agency here and took the leap and have literally no regrets about it.
I
Sweet.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I know part of or a lot of our conversation, we're going to talk about going places, but the three of us are
Mhm.
located right here in Maine. So we
Lucky
have to
us.
ask is kind of an intro question here to warm
Oh,
up to it. If you had
mhm.
to pick your favorite season here in Maine, and I
Ooh,
know it's up for debate, we may
yeah.
have 3 seasons, we may have six, we never seem to know.
One, it feels like.
What would you recommend to somebody traveling to the
Oh,
state? Kind of what would that
well.
season be?
I have an easy, quick answer for this, and it's fall. Because
Okay.
to me, fall is just the most beautiful time with the leaves changing, the wind is, the weather is changing, and the tourists, and we love them, but you're not going to find overcrowding like you might along the
Yeah.
coastal communities. So it's a great time to visit, drive along the coast, drive up to the mountains, get some hiking, get outside and explore. And there's much better deals to be had in the
Yeah.
September, October, November months here.
Wow.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, we want to, of course, we're going to ask you all about what other people should be doing, right? So
Sure.
before we ask about what other people should do, Jess, we're going to say, all right, as a travel agent, you, of course, you get to help people plan their
Um,
fantasy trip. We want to
mm.
flip the perspective now and ask you, what has been your favorite traveling journey?
I get asked this a lot, and my answer is pretty much always the same. And it's the most recent vacation that I've been on, right? So I just went to Ireland last month and was actually there the month previous to that. And, anywhere I go someplace kind of new to me and find new destinations, new tours, new food, new restaurants, like I hold that very dear to my heart. And it always gives me such an appreciation for the work that I do and for my clients that are traveling and exploring these destinations themselves. So, long story short, it's Ireland because that's where I was
Okay.
there last.
I love that. I
And
love
the
that. But
whiskey's pretty good too. I'm
all
just
right.
saying.
All right. Perfect. No, I love the way you worded that though, Jess, because it is almost, you're curating these experiences for your clients, and it's nice for you
Mhm.
to experience that as well. But you can also, you're learning what to, maybe to recommend to them and back and forth
Yeah.
there. So I'm
Yeah.
really happy you kind of shared that with us. So we're just going to keep going here.
Sure.
So obviously, Ben mentioned in that intro, it's been a little bit, I think a couple of years since we had a travel advisor on our
Hmm.
show. Um, and as things would in 2 years, things have changed. But now we're also kind of 4 years out from peak COVID-19 and that travel landscape that has undoubtedly evolved since then. Can you just kind of share with us some of the most significant changes that you've seen in the travel industry since, say, let's go back just a couple years, so 2022 maybe?
Yeah, and that's when tourism and travel really started taking off again after COVID. What I'm really seeing is the rise of flexibility. This is with airlines, this is with cruise ships, this is really with every kind of travel vendor you can find. Consumers want flexibility when they travel. They want,
Yeah.
if plans change, they want to easily be able to cancel, rebook that flight for 6 months from now. And they also want sustainability. I'm seeing they want to know the places they're traveling to, the cruise ships they're taking are offering sustainable services and practices in their, in what they offer.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. And you touched on it a little bit there, but maybe so I know we just mentioned traveler
Mm,
behaviors, right? So the
yeah.
expectations there are flexibility, if you will. So how else has that kind of changed maybe from your client's perspective, whether it's their behaviors, their preferences, or just general expectations about travel?
Yeah. So really since COVID, what I am seeing, and actually what I've lived through personally, is that people want an advisor like myself to offer expertise in
Sure.
what they are booking, where they are going. They want to know, what is this resort like? Because they know that as travel advisors, we either travel there ourselves or we have clients travel there ourselves. If
Hmm.
you go to an online booking platform that's trying to sell you a beautiful Cancun all-inclusive vacation, they're not going to tell you all the good things and the bad things about that resort.
Sure.
But they know that our expertise offers real world experience from the 10 people that I had travel there last month.
Yeah.
So they want opinions. They want somebody to kind of guide them through their process and really watch them through that whole journey from beginning to end.
I love that.
Nice. So, just obviously, health and safety has always been something on travelers'
Mm,
minds, right? And I think the pandemic probably really emphasized that importance like never
sure did.
before, right? Because
Mm.
you were on the cruise ship, and then COVID-19 broke out,
Oh,
and then you couldn't get
yes.
off the cruise ship, right? And it's like,
Oh,
so I think it just all of a sudden like, oh, I never really thought about that. I'm traveling in Germany, and I want to come
yeah.
back, and all of a sudden they have different health restrictions, or United States
Yes.
saying coming back you can't. So there's a lot of friction, right? I think
Yeah.
from a health perspective. So, given your extensive experience, what personal advice do you give to your clients to ensure they stay healthy and safe while traveling? And follow up, are there specific
Yeah.
precautions or best practices that you recommend, whether it's navigating busy airports, exploring new destinations, or even choosing accommodation? Like, what would you say around that theme?
Okay, so number one, always get travel insurance. And I'm not just saying this because, it's an add-on expense, but it is literally crucial when you travel, especially internationally. I could literally tell some horror stories of people who have traveled like in a cruise ship and
Mhm.
got COVID. And, this is during the COVID times, but they got secluded in Dubai and couldn't make it home. And they had to put, $14,000 out of their own pocket to be, secluded and be safe and then fly home. Whereas travel insurance would cover all of that for them. And it just, it's a small additional cost, but it will cover those medical expenses and those medical costs that may not be covered by your health insurance. It is crucial, especially if you're traveling internationally. And as far as like destination specific things go, if you look on the State Department website or talk to your travel advisor, you can see what are the warnings for different countries. And some of them, I always have a conversation. Are you going to go off in Jamaica and explore downtown Negril? Probably not. If you're going to stay on the resort, chances are things are going to be completely okay as long as, you're staying on the resort. And this is very minor, but this is what I personally do is always travel with a little health kit that
Yeah.
has ibuprofen, hand sanitizer, wet wipes for the plane, and Band-Aids, of course.
Mhm.
Hmm, that's great. Yeah. And I want to, all right, we're going to try to forecast a little bit into the future now here, right?
Oh, this is fun.
We're
Okay.
asking the expert. You just told us to do it. So that's what we're doing. So in previous conversations on our show around travel, we've had our good friend, Carrie Forbringer on the show
I
of
know
those
Carrie.
conversations.
Yeah.
So one of the things we talked about with Carrie was kind of top travel destinations for retirees in 2019 and 2020. Naturally, that is a few years ago now. So, given the dramatic shifts in the world since then that we've just kind of discussed, we want to know, kind of go back to that topic. So, what are the current hotspots for retirees travel? So now, as we're here in late 2024 and looking at 2025.
And isn't it wild because I'm already helping retirees plan for 2026 and
Whew. All right.
2027.
All
It's crazy
right.
to think about, but this is such a fun question. And I'll tell you, my immediate answer is Ireland.
Yeah.
I have heard 90% of
Hmm.
clients that walk in off the street, they want to go to Ireland. That's their bucket list trip, right?
Yeah.
And it's Ireland, and it's also a lot of European destinations like Italy. They've been thinking about Italy for 20 years, and now they're just ready to go.
Mm.
Domestic wise, I am seeing a lot of retirees want to go out west. They want to do the
Yeah.
national parks, they want to do Sedona, they want to do the Grand Canyon. And I'm seeing, people that have had these dreams for decades sometimes, and they're just
Yeah.
ready to go and they just want to do it and let's book it. Let's make it happen, you
Yeah.
know?
No, that's incredible. So kind of follow up to that question. So I heard Ireland there, right? We talked about a little bit of the West Coast, Europe.
Yeah,
In general, have there been kind of new places emerge as like travel favorites? And I guess the other side
sure.
of that, have there been some maybe fall out of favor here in the last few years?
I am hearing a lot of people wanting to go to Portugal,
Okay.
specifically the Azores for that kind of different tropical feel, that island life living that's not necessarily Punta Cana or
Hmm.
Cancun or Jamaica. They want something different with a little bit of a European flair.
Hmm.
And I think falling out of favor, I know I may contradict myself a little bit on this, but like
Yeah.
Italy,
Yeah.
there's places in Italy that are so overcrowded, like
Yeah.
specifically Venice.
Yeah.
Venice has a tourist cap now. So,
Wow.
if you're going there June, July, and August, you may be shoulder to shoulder with people. And I think, the retiree population, they don't want that. They don't want that
No.
overcrowd. they want to be, feel free to explore on their own sometimes.
Yeah. And I can say as a non-retiree, I don't want that either. So I think that's
I
a
don't
safe statement.
either. Nobody wants to be shoulder to shoulder, you know.
Exactly.
Well, and Jess, I'll add one there too. Is Curtis and my colleague AJ. So he and his wife had this lifelong trip to go to Israel,
Oh,
and
wow.
so they did that. I think a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they, got to visit it and go to Jerusalem and see all the holy
Yeah.
kind of experiences there. And of course, right before the
I
conflict
was just
broke
gonna
out, right on
say,
the Gaza
what
Strip, and
timing?
so
Yeah.
it's like you could kind of put that on the fallen out of favor list. I'm sure is like it's
Oh, yeah.
probably not anybody's list to go into a war zone as part of your trip travel vacation plans. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
No,
So
no, definitely not.
so Jess, for those longtime listeners of the podcast, I think you know me too. Is I'm holding up a Disney cup,
Of course, I
so
was waiting for it to
I
come up.
I gotta go a
We're good.
Disney question here.
We made it a
Yeah,
few
we
questions.
did,
We're
This is a
good.
we
whole
got
separate
there,
hour, Ben.
right? I was biding my time, right? I kind of getting there.
Yeah.
Sure.
But the recent news is Disney announced plans to add 4 new cruise ships to their fleet, which will be delivered between 2027 and 2031, right? So basically floating theme park hotels, right?
Literally,
So,
yeah.
right, so it's the total number of Disney branded ships are now at 13, double the size of their fleet in less than a decade. So Disney's investing in this cruise line because it's popular with Disney fans, especially families, and because the cruise industry is growing faster than theme parks. And Disney CFO Hugh Johnston said that cruise ship investments tend to pay back quickly and that the company is confident in the growth of the cruise line. So obviously this seems to be a trend that's happening about the expansion of the cruise ship vacation after COVID,
Mhm.
which by the way blows my mind
I agree.
because here's people like that were going, I got to get up my cruise in. And then, as we said, they were during COVID and they tempted
There's,
it. And there was
yeah.
some negative publicity of people being out to sea for too long, running out of food, being sick, and lots of stuff happening there. But since, like, I think maybe pent up demand, people kind of getting into it. So, can you walk us through what happened during COVID with the cruise ship industry and why it's rebounded so strongly right now?
Mm.
What's kind of this big demand? Obviously, Disney's like really banking on this right now.
Yeah. And he's right that the cruise demand is insane right now. I think last week I booked 7 cruises, which, everybody wants a cruise because they're easy. The cruise line industry has really rebounded so quick from COVID because they heard consumers and they know that consumers want flexibility. Sometimes they want shorter itineraries. They want a 3-day cruise to Bermuda instead of a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas. They know that there's every ship for literally every family type. If you want retirees, you want adults only, that would be Virgin Voyages. You want that big Alaska vacation with a pre and post tour of Denali, you can do that. So I think the cruise industry has heard us. They're responding with more ships, more itineraries, more flexibility. And I will say, from a family standpoint, I'm a mom of 3, that they're offering so much for these kids to do on board. You don't even need
Yeah.
to leave the ship.
Yeah.
Like you said, amusement parks,
Mhm.
literally, Royal Caribbean has the largest water park at sea on one of their ships. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're exactly right there too, Jess. I'm just thinking back. So when I was a kid, cruises were always our kind of family vacation.
Yeah.
And then I went on one as not as young as a kid, and I realized why, because my parents could just let me run around a cruise ship and just
Yes.
trust that I wouldn't fall off the cruise ship, and they were good.
Fingers crossed.
So it was a vacation for everybody, right? The arcade, the water parks, and now you're right. I see the commercial all the time for the Royal Caribbean ship. I think they
Oh,
have a new
the
one or a new one
icon.
coming. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
massive. It's like city blocks on water, and it's crazy. But anyway, so I want to keep going here with travel trends. I'm asking all the
Sure.
trend questions today. So travel trends have long favored pockets of
Mm.
interest-based kind of itineraries, right? We're saying golf trips or running trips, culinary,
Yeah.
art tours, things like that.
Yeah.
So it looks like in 2025 and 2026, we're seeing maybe a slight narrowing of that scope with all eyes on interest-based small group trips. So can you just give us some ideas of how interest-based travel is expanding and how, kind of you're helping your clients build those itineraries?
Yeah, this is such a great question because you're right. Everybody has interests and hobbies, and now there's literally a vacation for anything you want
Yeah.
to do. I learned a new one last week about social media vacations, which is traveling to all the most Instagrammable hotspots to
Oh my
get,
goodness. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get the best
Yeah.
backgrounds or felt. I don't know. I don't know a lot
Yeah.
about Instagram. I'm not the right person for that. So, a fun story is just last week, I had a retired couple reach out to me, and their thing is exotic birds, which honestly I know nothing about. But they found this cruise and wanted to do an exotic bird vacation in the South Pacific. And, that's really fun because they share their passion with me and I
Mhm.
can make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So we got them booked on a 3-week New Zealand South Pacific exotic bird watching cruise, and that's what they're going to do in March. So,
No kidding. That's awesome.
yeah.
Just to
And
go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead, Ben. I was just going to say, and I want to put in, a little thing about golf. Golf vacations are huge right
Yeah.
now, probably the biggest ones we do.
Yeah.
Like Scotland. Everybody wants to go play golf in Scotland. They've got more golf co courses than anywhere in the whole world, as
Yep.
well as, things like the Olympics and the World Cup. Those are all vacation packages that we put together.
Oh wow.
So Jess, that was going to be my question because I think you're talking to two golfers here. So I was
Oh boy. I know
just
nothing about
thinking
golf
here. So I was
besides
just
where to
So
play
we're
it.
really just planning our own
yeah.
vacation on
So
this
for
podcast.
us, right? For us, let's talk about us, right? It's like Toby Keith, and let's talk about me. So I want to ask about that. So just kind of expanding on this idea of, so say
Yeah,
you had 8 golfers, right?
sure.
And you said they approached you and said, all right, Jess, we want to go and we want to create a golf trip in North Carolina and it's our
Cool.
spring break trip. And how would you go about kind of booking like that level of a trip? Because I imagine you got, again, hotels you got to coordinate, you got dining together, you got
Yeah.
rounds of golf. Like, how do you kind of go from, hey, here's the airlines, maybe from different
Hmm.
locales, getting people to a common destination, getting them on the court? How do you do all that? I guess is my question.
Well, I'm going to let you in on a little travel agent secret, and that is that I use AI a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
I
right.
use ChatGPT quite a bit. And I use this a lot for itinerary planning because I do have groups like that. I've got a group of 6 girls that are going to Italy that all want to drink wine around the whole country. Like,
Mm.
cool. How can I develop this itinerary? And so what I did was, and like I would do with those golfers, is develop a day by day. And then the first thing I always like to lock in is the hotels because a lot of times those hotels get booked quickly, especially if it's around Masters time or there's
Yeah.
specific golfing seasons or times that you guys want to do. We need to lock those in because, as you know, hotels can sell out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And then flights where they're coming from California or they're coming from Maine, Canada, that's easy enough to do. We
Hmm.
can make that happen. And then we fill in the fun stuff. That's reaching out. We use a vendor called Road Trips, which is great for sports specific packages. And they would help me because, like I said, I'm not the expert on golf, but I am
Mm-hmm.
the expert on travel. So they would help me put together packages for you, whether you want to tour master's courses or play on these specific courses, they would help me with that. And I would pass that on to you.
Oh,
Nice. Okay.
awesome.
Well, I'm gonna ask a big question here. So it's
Oh no.
give me a little I'm gonna give you
Oh
a bunch of
boy.
context here.
Okay.
So it's a big thing because again, I think when we talk about on the show, and I think with any family, there's family dynamics, right?
Mm.
And so when you start talking about family travel, right, whether it be spring break or there's multi-generational
Oh,
trips,
it's a lot of
but
that.
there's a lot of complex family dynamics that unfurl on the road, right? Good, bad, and ugly, and especially being outside our normal environments that flexes new muscles, right? People, especially with
Sure.
anxiety, and it can push buttons amongst those we love, right? Even when things are good, all of a sudden you put people in an anxious situation and it can unravel, right? So, but when planned appropriately and approached with curiosity, family travel really has the power not to just let us relax, but also help us heal, right? Whether it's a mother son or mother daughter trip after a death in the family, we've heard that a bunch, or fully pulling kids out of school to approach immersive education and action. Grandparents and parents report that bring their littles on the road results in surprising benefits and ultimately creates more open minded citizens of the world. And we were reading an article earlier. One TV personality and best-selling author Amanda Klutz looked back at
Mhm.
a trip with her son Elvis after the death of her husband, And she shared, I really want to show my son the world. So it's constantly like, come on, we're going. In the beginning, her quote, this is scary to do on just my own, but I find you learn so much when traveling that I never let being a single parent get in the way. For the first time in years, we were spending 24 hours a day together. What happened was this beautiful healing experience. So, Jess, so how are you seeing family travel evolve around resets, especially obviously around
Mhm.
Amanda Klutz and her situation, but family trauma and also immersive education? How are you kind of seeing this family travel theme work?
Yeah, so a couple thoughts about this and Amanda's quote, and that is just so moving, you know. I think after family trauma, I am seeing an impression from people that they're just going to do it. They're going to pull the kids out of school and they're just going to go.
Mhm.
I know I have three kids of my own, and right now we don't hesitate to pull them out of school. Don't listen,
Yeah.
principals, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole world is an education.
Yeah.
And for us, the trips, and Ben, you know this too, like the trips that you take with your family, all those little ridiculous moments, you're going to be laughing about those. You know, last month we took our kids to Six Flags, and my three teenagers and my husband and I all stayed in the same hotel room. And that was a bad idea. But now we're laughing about it. And it's those things, those memories, you're not going to get those on the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday grind, right?
Yeah.
And something else I want to add with family travel, because you're right, we do see a lot of multi-generational family travel. And I hear a lot of families initially like, oh, we all want to share a house, or oh, we're going to be good for to a hotel room. And I'm telling you, no. Don't do that for your own mental health and really for your peace of mind. Because when you're traveling on these big experiences, big vacations, what I know from people is that they need time to decompress and they need their own space. So get your own hotel room. Don't
Mhm.
make my rookie mistake at the best Western with my family and my kids. Don't do that.
I love it. I love it. All right. So that's the bold note for the show notes, Ben. Multiple hotel rooms with
Yes,
family
love it.
travel. Got it.
Okay.
Yes.
Locked it in. So Jess, I want to keep going on again. I keep having the trendy questions here. So things that kind of Ben and I are hearing about and seeing out there, the idea of wellness travel, right? And it's
Mm,
morphing into an exercise in longevity. So speaking to kind of our retiree audience here, right? So long
sure.
considered a leader in the wellness resort concept since opening in southern Spain in 2008, SHA Wellness has only continued to refine its already progressive approach to longevity. And in 2024, so in this year, that group opened its first outpost in North America, SHA Wellness Clinic Mexico. So again, that's where their natural therapies and groundbreaking scientific methods are now more accessible than ever to the American traveler. So guests can anticipate an integrative approach that addresses not just nutrition, but cognitive health, aesthetics, and healthy aging. So I guess our question for you, Jess, so what are you seeing around wellness travel and trips to access better aging and longevity? Kind of what's out there in your world?
I do see a lot of wellness travel. I see a lot of people curious about it, but not a
Mm,
lot booking yet. They want
hmm.
more information. I think sometimes the cost can be prohibitive for some of this wellness travel. You
Yep.
know, Japan and Italy and Spain are all really big destinations. Like you can go to Japan and do a whole wellness retreat and take a forest bath, and that's really fun.
Mm,
Um, I am seeing, you know, people my age and older, I am 44, want to do some domestic wellness retreats, whether it's staying at a ranch,
hmm.
um, you know, doing those kind of spa days, girls' trips. And I want to add also that Costa Rica has been a really big destination for kind of wellness travel, as well as blue zone travel, they call it.
Mhm.
You
Mm,
know, these countries around the world that their populations tend to live longer. So they
yeah.
want to know, people want to know the secret, so they want to travel there.
Mm, that's great.
Nice. Well, so Jess, obviously we're in the day and age where I'm holding up my phone for those listening, where our phone
They're
is
always
right.
listening on your phone.
Exactly. It's always with us, and we got AI listening to us all the time and recommending things. And it's advancing at lightning speed, right? It's just transforming many aspects of our lives, as you just said with ChatGPT, how it can make our lives more efficient, and you can
Right.
spend more time on the things that you want. And but especially, I think travel, right, is I'm sure
Mm.
travel and technology continue to morph together. So I just want to hear from your perspective, what are some of the latest technological advancements or tools that you're seeing that are making travel easier and more enjoyable for your clients? Are there particular apps, gadgets, innovations that become game changers?
Sure. This is a great question. But I will say I am literally the last person to talk to you about tech stuff.
Yeah.
But I do use it. Like I said, I do
Yeah.
use ChatGPT a lot. So I will say, the airline and the travel industry has really leaned into this a lot. You see things like biometric screenings with Clear. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar
Mm-hmm.
with Clear.
Mm-hmm.
You literally
Mm-hmm.
go walk up and then you walk through in the security line, as
Mm-hmm.
well as some of the global entry um, touch points. So there's two big airports around the world that are really experimenting with this thing called e-gates, which means once you've been initially screened, you don't even have to you check in and you don't have to like do anything else. You literally just walk on the plane
Hmm.
because they're reading your biometrics by just walking through.
Yeah.
That to me is absolutely amazing. Um, and just for, you know, those of us who are not great with travel, I do use things like air tags.
Yeah.
So anytime you travel, throw them in your suitcase. That way you can track your luggage.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's always apps, right? Apps are really the way to go. I use all the TSA, the pre-check, the global entry, any of those apps, as well as all the airline apps in the apps for the hotel I'm staying, in things like City Mapper when I'm in the destination specifically.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. And sorry, Ben, I was just gonna say from my own experience too, the air tags has been huge for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like traveling for golf and things, I throw one in the golf bag. So again, all goes well when I travel and nothing's happened.
hmm
I'm knocking on wood for everybody
It's so
listening.
nice to be able to see where they
Yeah,
are.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. And to your point too, just the apps I think have come a long way too. The airline specific apps or even now I like integrated with the iPhone maps when you land at an airport.
Yes.
It's like, welcome to DC Reagan and here's a tour if you need help. So I think
Yeah.
and I know one Ben and I talk about too is like Google Translate for obviously international
Yes,
travel.
that's a great point.
So I saw a commercial and I need to go try it. So if my wife's listening, she's going to say, "Gotcha, we're going overseas." So I saw one. It was someone again. I forget the manufacturer, whether it was an Android or iPhone, whatever it was. They were wearing essentially like AirPods, and it was translating in real time for them, like playing back into their head. Which so I think that thing, like that whole evolution, to me,
Yeah,
just has to have made this so much easier. Because I just picture myself
that's
somewhere not being able to communicate at all, and it stresses me
yeah.
out.
That
So
actually, that's such a great point. So I was in France last January, I think, and I was struggling really hard with my French. So I
yeah.
was like, I just need polo, on the menu. I need some chicken. So Google Translate really, it does help. It helps so much. And when you're in a foreign land, in a country you've never been to, you don't speak the language, that can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Good point.
And just I'll add one more too, is that it seems like, and this is I think the good thing about COVID, right, is that I think it sped up technological advancements, like being able to do Zoom with people,
True.
and kind of doing that is I think video adoption or video meetings probably were going to take another 10 years, and it feels like that sped it up to 3 months, and people had to do it.
Mhm.
But I think similarly on hotels and just kind of our experiences with hotels, and Chris and I travel around New England together a bunch, meeting
Mhm.
with clients. And you go to your hotel, it's like, here's the app for the Marriott or the
Yeah.
Hilton, and keyless entry into your room. You don't have to stop into the front desk and do stuff. It's all ready to go. Just go to your room and it says your room's ready, and it just bing, your phone
It's so
just
easy.
unlocks the room for you.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I think, feels so much more convenient. It just, you're tired after traveling, or you've been on the plane all day and you just want to get into that
Mm.
room and kind of get stuff like unloaded, that you don't have to just stand there waiting at the front desk to kind of get checked in and get keys and stuff like that. Just it's little, right? It's so
Yeah.
little,
Yeah.
But it adds up, right?
yeah.
And I think about that too, Ben. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but also with airline tickets. I hear this a lot from the older population. We book their flights and then they want their paper ticket. I'm like, well, we don't do paper tickets anymore. There's
Yeah.
no such thing. You get a little tiny vendor code, and that's your
Yep.
code for your flight.
Yep.
So, but for us, it makes it easy.
And you see that, of course, when everyone's in line, right, to get onto the plane, and they got the crumpled paper, and
Yeah.
it won't scan, and
They
then
have
they
the
just
wrong one because the
yeah,
desk like
Yes.
prints every flight they have for the next week, and it's like, well, no, it's not that one, it's this one.
yep, ding. It's just it's like, oh,
Yeah,
just let's get the phone and let's put that down, and boom, and away we
exactly.
go. So
I
yeah,
love it.
there's a lot of conveniences there for sure.
Love it. So Jess, I have one final question for you, and I'm going to warn you ahead of time. It's a pivot. So you've
Oh
been
no.
sharing your expertise with us today and our listeners. And again, thank you so much for doing that. I think it was super informative. I know I learned a lot, and I know our listeners enjoy these travel episodes we do. But I can't let you go without asking you one tough question. So the name of our podcast, right? The Retirement Success in Maine podcast. I have to ask you, Jess, how are you going to find your own retirement success? What does that look like for you?
I love this question,
All
another
right.
travel question. Okay, so let me think on this. So I'm a planner. I'm very type A. So I started planning for my retirement literally like 25 years ago. That shows my
That's
age, but
good.
it's true. And I am constantly evaluating, where do I want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, financially, professionally, mentally, emotionally, with my family. Like, I am a very goal focused person. So if I know in 5 years, I want my business to be here, in 20 years, I want to be retired in North Carolina. That's the goal.
Hmm.
What do I need to do to make that happen?
Yeah, love that.
If you have any advice, I'm always listening to the podcast.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, Jess, that's really awesome. And again, we're pretty excited to kind of see you achieve those goals yourself. But also, I know obviously the just getting to know you over time and just seeing your passion for travel. We want to make sure you could kind of share that with our audience too, because I think
Yeah.
this is
Yep.
something where there's a lot of people that are going to get something from this today and able to kind of influence and maybe imagine themselves in as during our conversation today. So I hope you all listening
Thank
achieve
you.
that. So just thanks so much for coming on our show. Would love to have you back and maybe touch on the next theme of travel when those come up. But
Yeah.
until then, be well.
Thank you. This is a great opportunity and so fun on
Yeah.
election day, even.
That's right.
Thanks, Jess. So good to see Jess Reinhardt
Yeah.
today, right? Is kind of again get a travel advisor in, get a little update. Again, I know all of us is, Curtis, when you and I sit down with our clients and talk about, dreams and goals and things we want to do, just discretionary, just travel is always the top of the list. So it
It's
just
the
feels like
one.
this is
Yep.
the necessary thing to keep coming back to and
Yeah.
kind of tapping the well
Yeah.
and just see what's going on. So
And it's
yeah, so
fun
Jess,
too. They're fun
yeah,
conversations, and
yeah,
we learn. We know our listeners learn. It's stuff that everyone can relate to. So they're good.
yeah,
They're good
yeah,
conversations.
yeah. So it's and again, I think where Jess and Carrie
Mm-mm.
Forbringer Heatherman before, just they serve a similar clientele. So it's just kind of good to see is people want advice and they want help, and I
Yep.
think the having kind of two service-minded people together, the you and I and them is great. So
Yep.
but we want to obviously point you to some resources if you want to go further and dig in. We're of course going to have all Jess's contact information on our blog. Obviously we will have our show notes, including our transcript there, so you can kind of
Yep.
check it out if you want to read through a little bit more. We'll have that. But
Yep.
yeah, I'd love to just make sure if you want to reach out to Jess, that's available to you, and you can reach out to her at Milton Travel and do
Yeah.
that. So, but to do that, you got to go to our website. You got to go to blog.guidancepointllc.com/105 for
105.
episode 105. So
Yeah.
we're keeping rolling here. We're pretty excited to keep going into 2025 here
I
very
know.
shortly. And again, we're having a lot of fun doing this and appreciate you all tuning in. So we will catch you next time.